I will just short introduce Wolfgang Spickermann, professor in the University of Graz and expert in epigraphic and in particular in the field of ancient religion. He would like today introduce us on the one of the epigraphic collection in Graz in the M.Joanneum, and then later to the project Celtic Divine Names in the inscription of the Roman Provinz Germania Inferior. Say something about this project and the Ferken project, and we will today have more information concerning this interesting project. So Wolfgang, thank you, and please, is your work.
Hello everybody, I'm starting with Graz. Here in Graz we have a collection of inscriptions. We have first the inscription of the Lapidarium, Schloss Eggenberg and Schloss Seggau, and then we are going further to Ferkan and what Stephanus said to the database. But first of all, we have to talk about a city not far away from Graz. Graz is not so old. It's founded about 1000 after Christ in the Middle Ages, but the old city here, the Roman city, not far away, about 40 kilometers, is now Leibniz Wagner and in former times Flavia Solva. Here you can see it on this map of Roman Noricum. And Flavia Solva is mentioned in Pliny the Older in Natural History 324, 146. He says, behind the Carni and the Iapidae, there where the mighty Danube has its course, there are connected the Rati and the Norici, whose cities are Virunum, Selea, Teunia, Aguntum, Juvavum, all of them Claudian. But Flavian is the settlement of Solva. Here we have the mention of Flavia Solva, and Pliny says it's you hear by the name, it's a Flavian foundation. Flavia Solva, indeed, a settlement is a little bit older. We have rest of Augustan construction there from Augustan times, but they got the right to as a municipium in Flavian times. And that is what you can see now. We have here at in Wagner excavations and the small exhibition, and you can see here, it's in this circle, you can have a closer look on the Frauenberg. At the Frauenberg near Flavia Solva, there was a very big sanctuary, and I think it was a sanctuary most with more than one temple, a sanctuary maybe with an altar for the Flavian, for imperial cult, and maybe for Thesis Laurea. Here is this small exhibition in Flavia, in the town Wagner. And that is a reconstruction of the Frauenberg. Here, the former museum. It's built in the cellar of the so-called Isis temple. This directly on the cellar, you can see it here, the modern situation. And they have also a small lapidarium with stones found there. The newest one is a votive with a statue to Mercurius. That is our Roman city there, and most of all the inscriptions coming from there. Graz was a center in during the Austrian imperial times, but after that they and had much more inscription from the environment. But after the First and Second World War, they distributed a little bit of the collection to other museums. But Graz has all the most of the collection of foundings and inscriptions and statues and so on from Flavia Solva. And now we have a little warming up, because we have to have a look at Schloss Eggenberg. Eggenberg Castle is World Heritage, and we have to have a small walk in the park, and only to have an to see the situation there. I hope it runs. It's in German. It's enough for a first impression here, but in this castle we have this new lapidarium. Until 2004, the lapidarium was in the old castle, and they built a new lapidarium for the collection of the stones. It's lapidarium, and in direct connection with is the so-called Archäologie Museum, the museum for the other very spectacular findings of the Hallstatt oppidum in Groß-Klein. It's really the name, Groß-Klein. There are two villages, Groß-Klein and Klein-Klein. Don't ask me why. And there was a big Hallstatt settlement, and the findings are spectacular and unique, and they are also there. I give you a short impression of the lapidarium. Here you can see the photos after they finished it in 2004 from the architect there, and then they have two clips in German in YouTube. Then we can go to, I have chosen a lot of inscriptions which I think are interesting for us because of several themes of Roman life in Flavia Solva. But we will start with an inscription what is from Graz, directly from Graz, in the vicinity from Flavia Solva, in the so-called Grazer Becken. There is a very fertile region there, and used by farmers and by rural settlements and wiki. And in the church of Graz, the part of Graz, St. Leonard, have found this big stone, nearly 3 meters in height. It's stone one from a gravestone, a stele, and we'll see what it is. First of all, please describe the stone. Who can describe it? It's about 2 meters and 88 centimeters in height. It's in height is 1 meter 16 centimeter, very big. What can you see? I think you can see something, I hope it.
Well, there are two parts of the inscription. First, there is the text below, and above there are 3 portraits of people.
Yeah.
And 2 whole figures beside the lowest portrait. And above you can see dolphins, and not quite sure if it's should be a Medusa or something like
the Medusa. Yeah.
The Medusa, okay.
Yeah.
And it's inside a temple.
Yeah, inside a roof on the, yeah, thank you very much. And then we can have a look at the inscription. And we see Lucius Cantius Secundus, vivus fecit, sibi et Cantiae, juni filiae boniae uxori, et Cantiae Luci filiae boniate. It's marble. It's we think the stone is from Kärnten, not so far away. And when you see it, it's you see this field for the inscription. It's a professional sculpture there. You can see. Now we have to have a look at the inscription. You say 3 persons, and indeed we have 3 persons in the inscription. What is the connection of these persons? It's not so difficult, I think.
Family.
Family. The husband, the wife, and the daughter.
Yeah. Here the man, Lucius Cantius Secundus, his wife, Uxor, and a daughter. And the daughter bearing the name Cantia of her father. It's normal, but it's not so usual. What about the wife? The husband, okay, Lucius Cantius Secundus. But their wife?
She also has the name Cantia.
Okay, that is not so usual because, and what about her status? She has the name Cantiae juni filiae boniae. What about the filiation? Juni filiae. The normal filiation is an abbreviation with 1 Roman prenumen. Gai filiae, Luti filiae, something else. But we have here a peregrine filiation, Junius. And we have a more or less Celtic name. So we can say that she comes from the local population. The normal interpretation in the literature is that she was a woman of the Noric population here in the environment. And it's very interesting that she's bearing the name of her husband. We don't know why. Maybe she was a freed woman or something else, but it's not possible because the first glance, because she has affiliation of her maybe father from the Noric Celtic population. So we can think that she had no Roman citizenship when she married him, but we can say it for sure, but it's one of a hypothesis. The daughter wears the name of his father, and she has a Roman filiation, Luci Filiae. It's right, because his name is Lucius. And Boniate is the combination of the name of her mother. So it's bearing the name of father and mother. It's very interesting here because we can see a combination and a couple of several different origins. What about Cantius? Cantius, there is a link to Aquileia, because the Cantii are coming from Aquileia, and we think that Cantius, this Cantius, can be a freedman or his father or his family from this family of Aquileia, who settled in the region of Noricum. And now we have a short look at a database, because we have here in Graz another collection. Here in front of the room I'm sitting is our squeeze collection, and we have a squeeze of this. Okay, what we can see here is our database of our squeeze collection here, and you can see here the squeeze of this stone in our collection. We have to talk about at the end only, you can see here our collection, and you see the inscription, a translation here, and a comment. And here is Ingrid Weber-Hieden, who says that the died persons were parts of freedmen of the family of the Cantii from Aquileia. And she said that the name Cantius was a former Celtic one, and from canto, corner. And that Bonia and Boniata came from the Venetian Illyrian language. Okay. When we look at the first, or not the first, but I'll want to show for every example I give, when you have a look at the edition of CIL 3, 5437, we have this description. Vir compilio in capite supra plano, vir capite nudo, poella femina, poella cum ave. There is no sense for this description, and it's totally, I think it's totally useless to publish it in this way, but it's a way of the 19th century. And you can see that here it's found in St. Leonard Proppe, Graz. It's not far away, it's now part of Graz. And then they put it in the Joanneum. It was one of the first stones in the Joanneum. They founded the Joanneum in the 19th century, and it was the first collection, was the collection of Erzherzog Johann, and he founded it, and the brother of the Austrian emperor. We can go back, and for the description of the stone, I think it's very important what we have heard. We have colors with the couple and the daughter, and what is a little bit unusual, at the right and the left, we have servants, but child servants with pigeons on their hands, and then we have this roof, Medusa and the dolphins. a few months ago, I was there with a specialist for medieval inscriptions, and he said that it seems to be that the division of the stone is a little bit for this quality is not so good, because we have 5 or 3 parts of the stone: the roof, then the first collars with the couple, then a collar with the daughter, and then the field of inscription there. You can see that this field ends here, and there's many places for other names, and that this is a little bit unusual. So he saw that it's his hypothesis that when the stone was made, it was the husband who decided to have this big stone, and then he built a stone for the whole family, and he saw that he had grandchildren, and there was a second couple maybe in the same way, and then there was a big field of inscription with the names of the members of the family, but the daughter, we don't know why, had no husband, or we don't know what happened, and then she decided to make this only one color with this child servants at both sides. And then he said that this first inscription, you see the first letters are bigger, much bigger than the others. And then he said that the hand of the daughter of the hand whose sculpture for the 3 lines was a different one, a later one. I have not proved it yet, and you can not read it anywhere, but he's specialist for sculptures and for letters, and he said there is a difference. I'll have to go with him there in the next time to have another look on it, but I think it's very interesting, because we have maybe a little clue to the family history in the hinterland of Flavia Solva. Okay, and you see here in the publication at CRL, they have not so much description of the stone, but they built the form of the inscription and the different measure of the letters here in the transcription of the inscription. And he says Mommsen has seen it and says Contouring. Okay. Okay, we have a second stone in the entrance at the left corner. You can see it a little bit was destroyed, and it's 2 parts of the stone, but we can, please give me an impression what stone it is. We have had steel, a gravestone, and now?
Stele. This is stele.
No, it's you have. As I have to give some measurement. Its height is 1 meter 35 centimeter. Width is 72 centimeters, and depth is 55 centimeters. It's a block. And you see the first line gives you a clue for the inscription. You see the name. It's a very well-known name.
Costantino.
Constantino, yeah, it's Emperor Constantine, and it's it's a base for a statue. It's a big statue of a Roman emperor from the late antiquity. And now, just let's read the inscription. Okay, Domino Nostro, Flavio, Valerio Constantini. Maximo Beatissimo ac supra omnes retro principes piissimo ect victoriorissimo semper Augusto bono re publicae nato Fabius Claudius ir perfectissimus praeses provincie norici Mediterranei devotus nomine majestatique eius semper. And then we have only here in this field few letters. What can we say about the? We can say, okay, the first what we have seen is that this is an inscription for a Roman emperor, Domino Nostro Flavio Valerio Constantino, and who is their donator? Who is responsible for this inscription and for this maybe statue base?
Fabius Claudius.
Fabius Claudius, and he is?
Yes.
Yeah, what is his profession?
Princess.
Praises. What's the praises? Yeah, it's late antiquity. It's
kind of governor.
Yeah, it's a governor. Yeah, it's a governor of a part of the former Noricum. It was divided under the Tetrarchy in two parts, and as a Noricum at the Danube, Ripae, and the Noricum in the inner Noricum, Mediterranean. And so it was this part of Noricum, and he says, "Vir perfectissimus." What does it mean?
It was a senator.
Yeah, it's under a little bit. It's what we former called an equus Romanus. It's a knight, but he was a very prominent one because he was a governor of a province, and it's an inscription for his master, for his emperor, and we can see what we have in the CIL. You can see here that there was that there is very, and it was found in Seckau, in Turin, in a tower in Seckau. I'll show you Seckau a little bit later, but it's a castle in the direct environment of Flavia Solva. It's on a hill in direct connection to the Frauenberg, in direct connection. And there, this big stone was found. Here, the CIS says that in the 1860s that the titulus of the inscription is broken, that was broken when they found it there, and so it is not a recent demolition of this stone. And here you can see this, what CRL does in the former times, only the letters, and then they give only the letters if they are not sure. Today we have to have made a point under it, a dot under it. They send here in cursive. Going back to it, you see here it's two parts, and you have here in the minuscule inscription the letters you can see today, and it's a minuscule as a solution. And we have only here these four letters, and CRL they nearly saw the same. It's not to emendate now. Okay, we have here a very prominent man, and we can say that he was, and this inscription with a statue, and we have it's published as one as a from the lay statues of Flavia Solva, and maybe it's one it's a document for the last emperor statue of Flavia Solva. Okay, let's go to the next one. Also a prominent guy here. I have to give the measures of this stone. It's not a plate, it's a block, a marmor base from 89 centimeters in height in wide width, 70 centimeters in depth, 86 centimeters, and the letters are 6 to 3.5 centimeters. Okay, let's have a look of the inscription. On the inscription, it's for Tito Attio Gaefilio Tutori, Prefecto ale Batavorum Miliarie, Prefecto ale Tungorum Frontoniniane, Tribuno Militum Legionis Secunda Diotrix, Pier Fidelis, Prefecto Cohortes Primae Batesiavorum, Civium Romanorum, Decurioni Flavia Solva Sedatus Quietus. We can date it a little bit because we have there parts of the Roman army. But what person was Titus Attius Gaefilius Tutor?
Perfetto.
Prefect, yeah. And his social rank, social status.
Member of the equestrian order.
Yeah, it's a member of the equestrian order. It's totally right. What is he? We can hear his career, his military career, and one of his first. I have to ask first. You have here a cursus. In which way? Bottom up or top down? And we have a civil office here.
His cursus is up to down.
No, I think top as the first, his last profession and the rank is Prefecto ale Prima Batavorum Miliarie, and then it's its most prominent rank. It's top down. The highest rank is the first mentioned, and then you can see he was first, he was a prefect of a cohort of 500 men. Then he was a tribune of the 2nd Legion, Diotrix. Then he was the prefect of Ale. What's an Ale? Prefectus Ale? Oh, these military units. It's cavalry. It's Roman cavalry. It's very prominent. And then he was prefect of an Ale with thousands of men. And so it was. His career is a question rank, a normal career, but he was a very prominent member of what? And it's a reason to give him this.
Decurioni.
Yeah, he was Decurio, one member of the order of Flavia Solva. And that's the only inscription we have Solva in correct form and Flavia Solva mentioned, because all the others you can see are only Sol in abbreviation. Here we have the whole name mentioned, and the man who gives this inscription is Edatius Quitus, and we can maybe he is a member, also a member of the order of Flavia. He was a member of the order of Flavia Solva and gives this inscriptions and statue maybe on the forum for a very prominent member of this small town in Roman Noricum. Okay, this was, we had the emperor, now we have a member of the order and of equestrian rank, we had a governor, and now, here is you see at the left hand the edition in CIL. If you see it on the stone, and here have you a ligature combination of 2 letters. We had it yesterday, you've seen it, and CIL did it in this way, E longa here, and here you have the lines on the stone as you can see it here on the stone. Now have a look on the stone. CIL tries to give the letters in the form you can see on the stone. And we know that Mommsen really mostly used tweezers for that. At the right, you have another form of these old editions. It's Dessau, Inscriptiones Latinis Electae, from 1892 to 1905. And you see here, hybrid edition of minuscule, mostly minuscule, because you have here the division of the lines in this form, and you have abbreviations and so on, and not this majuscule edition, which try to give the text as it is. And he said it's Seckau, Inturi Olim, Nunc Grazie in M.Joanneum. Here in Seckau, ubi fuit Flavia Solva, and it's in the M.Joanneum. We have it in the exhibition, as you see, but it was found and remembered later in this tower in Seckau. Okay, let's go to the other members of the population of Flavia Solva, but not the poor ones. You can see it on the stone. Please give a short, give an impression of the stone. What can you see? It's a very nice stone there. It's a stele. Stele is in height 2 meters 15 centimeters. It's 80 centimeters and depth 18 centimeters. Letters from 8 to 5 centimeters. Only a description, short description.
A beautiful flat iconographic, 2 lions on the top, 1 eagle in the middle of the timpano, and 2 horses, Pegasus.
Pegasus or Sphinxes, like that,
And in the epigraphic mirror, there's a 2 column.
Rifle columns,
And on the bottom there's
that's a
shepherd.
Man. A shepherd or a man with neck and a stick.
Sword.
A walking man like that. Thank you.
Maybe a warrior.
Okay. Maybe, but it's a when you see it near, it's a walking man. And here we have a base, a little base. It was with the first. Okay, we have the majuscule at the right side, and you see only its lid. What's the that person was?
Could you repeat, please?
What rank, what social status you have here? Because we have lib here.
Liberto.
It's the Libertus. And what is impressive, his age.
And LX66.
It's 19 years.
It's 60.
No, 90 years old. Here. With the inscription on the other side. Lucio Memmiu Iliberto Andrea Anorum, Anorum, he's 90 years old. And Arcauci Conjugi, his wife, at Lucio Memmius Corpo, 60 years old, at Musa Conjugi, his wife, she is 55 years, Cosmos Filius Faciendum Curabit. It's a family of former liberti, and he is the grandpa has been 90 years old. When we see the names of the oldest man, Lucius Memmius Andrea, what's name? What is the name? Where comes the name from? Andrea.
It's on Adriatica.
From?
Adriatico Sea.
No, what's the origin? Andrea is the language.
A Greek name.
A Greek name, yeah, it's a Greek name. But we have another name, it's not Greek, Aukokon, Aukoko. What do you think comes Aukoko from?
Germania.
Well, Aukoko, it's from, we think it's Celtic. A Celtic name. Germania is right, because most of the German provinces are a lot of people in the Roman provinces of Germany are speaking Celtic idiom. but Aukoko is, as we think, from the Nordic region, but they came maybe as, and it was very usual to give this information, to give with slaves Greek names. It was, we have big volumes, 3 volumes from Heiko Solin about the Greek slave names in Rome. And we can see in the provinces too that many of these former slaves and freedmen and freedwomen had Greek names. And we think that here it was the same manner to give a Greek name to maybe a local person. And his wife had a normal, normal name for a Celtic name for one member of the local community in Noricum. Family of their first half of the 2nd century, the datation is from the style of the archaeologists, from the style of the monument. It's a very expensive monument. And what is very important here is that these freedmen have a message to all other members of the society of Flavia Sorva. We are now free and we are rich because we have such a wonderful monument, brave monument here. We don't know exactly what this man means because the archaeologists describe it as standing man with a short tunica, and he has in his left hand a stick, in his left hand something as a part of clothes about his shoulders, and in his left hand a stick, and seems to be a walking man, but they have no explanation what it means. Maybe it's their Memmius Andrea himself. Okay, we can...
Professor, maybe it epitomizes an old man.
Yeah, that can be a good explanation for that. An old man walking through his life. Yeah. Yeah, an old man, you need the stick. You are totally right, I think. And here we have the edition in the CIL. You can see here the descriptions: Vir tunicatus, baculum tenens, in numero sinistro, sacrum portans, sacrum with question mark. And here they said it's found in Lancia. It's a part of Flavia Solva. It's very near, now they call it Leibniz Altenmarkt. Leibniz is a modern town there. Okay. Now we come to the more proper Celtic people. Please give a short description of this stele. It's only the upper part of stele. Still we have 70 centimeters in high. Maybe it's 1.5 meters when they was complete, when it was being complete. And in this we have 66 centimeters and in depth 13 centimeters. The letters are 7.5 to 5.5. What can you see there?
an eagle in the center on the
Eagle
timpano.
in the center,
and,
yeah.
And iconographic flower on the bottom, and on the left and the right in the top are two
columns, yeah. At the left and the right in the top, dolphins.
Okay, dolphin, and columns for a mirror epigraphic space, and Bononi Attili Fili Annorum 65 Baby Swadule.
Swadula. Okay. It's okay because it's tongue breaking a little bit, and you see there are similarities to the stone before with dolphins and the eagle there. I can go back here. You have the eagle and lions, but we have dolphins. We have seen dolphins before, and it's a very similar program there. It's Flavia Sauer, but it's wonderful and from very high quality here. And what we have here is a woman, Bonioni, a man, Bonioni, Filio, Annorum, and we have here 75 years. 75 women at Baby Swadule. And then maybe other people of this family. What do you mean where these people come from? This tongue breaking, Swadule, without an A. You can see here it's very in this only in E.
Man is indigenous.
Yeah, that may be, and there maybe, and there are, and they're coming from because I've asked where they're coming from because from which region?
Sweden.
Which region there? What cannot the names say? Bonioni. We have a similar name on the Cantius stele.
Bononia.
Yeah.
Bologna.
Yeah.
Bologna.
It was Illyrian Venetian, and Swadile is Celtic. And we have here very proper Celtic name, and names from a population here in Flavia Sorva. We think that the stone is from the 1st century, and we have there Bonius, a son of an Attus, and he was 75 years old, very old, and maybe his wife, Babia Swadula, and they may be from a Venetian Celtic population here in the environment of Flavia Sorva in the 1st century, and it was in the 1st century it was only an Augustan settlement there. But do they have civil rights, Roman civil rights?
There's no tria nomina, so I think.
Oh, it's right. We have only in what we call an Perugian filiation. Bonio is the son of an Attis, and Babia is not a proper Roman name there because they are peregrines and not parts of the Roman population. Here you can see also Leibnizii. Leibniz is the name of the modern name of the city of the CIL, and we say here ornamenta varia. What does it mean, ornamenta varia? We have seen an eagle, we have seen dolphins, and so on. No description of the stone, but then you can see the letters as you see it on the stone. In this time, in the 19th century, CIL want to give an impression only of the inscription. You can see here, not of the stone itself. It was a later development to give an impression of stone and inscription as we have to have it now. It's very important for us that is not a little stone or something else, or a plate or something else. It's a very beautiful stone. So we can say that this couple or maybe family want to have a grave in Roman style with a beautiful and very expensive gravestone. And they have no Roman civil rights. They are parts of the peregrine population. And we can have no impression if we have only these inscriptions in CIL. And now to policy of the Roman Empire, a very interesting stone we have here. But I have to say that this stone is not from Flavia Sorva. It's from Petovio, Tui. Now it's in Slovenia. It's very near here, about 100 kilometers. And when the stone was found, it was part of the Habsburgian Austrian Empire. It was Lower Styria. And so the stone went to Graz in the 19th century. But it's very, very interesting. What kind of inscription and of monument do we have here?
Ara.
It's right, totally right. It's an Ara. And we have also a goddess here and a votive inscription for a god.
Jovi.
Yeah, it's Jupiter himself. And then we have information about the dedicant, the donator. We have no name. You see here in this line that there was erased something that is disappeared, the letters disappeared. But we have a description of this person. His profession, we have his military profession here, military rank, very high.
Not to memoria.
Okay, that's Damatium in the Memoria. It's okay, remember it, but what I want to hear is first here is what military rank do this person have?
Tribunus cordis.
Yeah.
Praetoria.
Yeah, it's a Praetorian tribune.
Yes, Mr. Praetorian.
Yeah, and it's a very high rank. And then he said why he is there at this castle Petovio.
To fight Gallicanum factionem.
Against a party.
Against, yes.
Gallicanum party. Okay.
Yes.
And
to fight them.
And he made this altar because it's a demand of his princess, of his emperor.
Yes.
Okay, we can see it here. And I was free to give an interpretation of his eraser. Et praestito Jovi sacrum, tribunus cohortis decimae, praetoriae cultor numinis ipsius proficiscens atre probimendam factionem gallicanam iusse principis sui aram istam posuit. That means that we have here an very high-ranked man, and he was here for a special task. And I tried to go to the speech database and have to change the screen. Wait a moment. Jetzt will er gar nicht mehr. Okay. Okay, you can see it. Online portal.
Yes.
Okay. You have here our squeeze database, and we have an old squeeze of this inscription with also, you can see here the erasure. In the second line, you can see it only, you can't see any letter here because it's very deep. And then you can see, and there is a translation, votive to Jupiter, Gaius Fulvius Claudianus, tribune of the 10th cohort of the Praetorians, and he's a worshipper of his divine doing, and on his way to fight against the Gallic party, he erected this altar on the demand of his emperor, of the princess. Okay, there was a discussion years ago which person it have been here, but you have said it's damnatio memoriae. And damnatio memoriae, normally, damnatio memoriae is only for whom?
Or maybe Caracalla? Maybe.
Yeah, the emperor, maybe. Yeah, you're thinking on an emperor here. But here we don't have any emperor. We have only a tribune, okay, a high-ranked tribune of a Roman unit. And damnatio memoriae for him in this very representative altar is not so usual. It was not so usual. So
maybe
a person of high
family,
person of interest. And does anybody know who was Claudianus? Who Claudianus was in this way?
Claudianus married the daughter of Septimio Severo, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was after that from at the end from 196 on. He was a prefect of the Praetorians, and later on also a member of the Roman Senate. And Caracalla killed him in 203 because he was to he said that he wants to become an emperor by himself. He was a very prominent person. And after that, he, as a Senate, decided to get many of those monuments and statues, and we decided to destroy them all and to give him a donatio memoria as a member. Yeah, he was, because he was a husband of a sister of Caracalla, he was a member of the imperial family and a very prominent member. And so we have such a very high-ranked person here in Graz. Wonderful. And he was, when this, he erected this altar, he was, it's not only a tribune, but after that, he was the prefect. But what's about the Gallicanam Factionen? It's not so easy, but it was in the civil war between Septimius Severus and
Claudius Albinus?
Yeah, right, and that's a Gallicanum party because Claudius Albinus had his center in Lyon, and that was the Battle of Lyon, which where Severus succeeded and Albinus was killed. A very bloody battle. Okay, a prominent one, and here is the CIL. They give no impression which person it was. And then you have a look in ELS, and you can see here Vestigia nominis Plautiani dependre. And Dessau says it was Plautianus. Then this discussion but now everyone thinks that it's stone of Plautianus. Okay, we now we are virtual. Normally I would say, okay, let's take half an hour in the car, and we have to drive to Flavia Salva, to now in the neighborhood Seggau Castle. Schloss Seggau is an old castle on a neighborhood to the neighborhood to the Frauenberg of the archbishops of Salzburg. They built the castle in this way in the older part in the 12th, 13th century, but we have very old parts from the time before. And this is a site. And here in this part, we have Roman stones, but I can show it later. Here is a newer part of the bishops of Seckau, and that's the older part of the castle from Salzburg. It's divided a little bit. Now we have here a hotel and a center and so on. Here we have an old impression of Fischer from 1681, and you see here is a big tower in the middle of the castle, of the old castle. What we call in German Bergfried, and it was the oldest part of the castle, this tower, and then they built the rest, and they destroyed it when they rebuilt the castle in the 19th century from 1810 to 1831. And then they found that the fundaments of this tower were built of Roman stones. And in the 19th century, the bishops of Seckau decided to give an impression of the stones, and they built a wall of stones there. and you can visit it every time you want. It's open. You can see these wonderful stones in the wall of the newer part of the castle, in the inner part and outside in this way. And it's a very in collection of the 19th century, and you can visit it every time you want. You see it's very difficult for the measurements and for the to have an impression of the total impression, but we have it here in this way, and this combination is also a monument by itself. And what I want to show you is that we have several inscriptions here. I want to show you two of them, but we have here about 100 stones in the wall with reliefs and statues and gravestones like this. This is this famous Honorian caps for the caps for women, and we have also votives for local gods like Mars Latovius and so on. Here we have a gravestone with a Greek name, Aphrodisia, and so on. Here's a section with this family, a man and the both maybe daughter and mother, Trigonius, and we here have a gravestone, a big gravestone for Macilibertus Cerealis, at his wife Junia Aphrodisia. I said it's a Greek name, and so on. So what I want to show you are two very important stones from also all from Flavia Sorva. We think, and the archaeologists think, that when they built this tower in early medieval times, they took the material from the graveyard and from the forum and the rest of the city of Flavia Sorva. It's not far away, about 2-3 kilometers, and there were a lot of stones, and so they took it, put it to the hill. And maybe also from the neighbor hill, it's only 500 meters, where we have two temples. So we have material here from these temples. And here we have a very interesting stone, because, yeah, what kind of inscription do we see here?
Honorary.
It's right. And who is honored? It's not so difficult.
Imperator
Okay.
Antonino Augusto Pio.
Okay, you can, know much more from the inscription, but it's an honor for an emperor, maybe a big block. We can, but it's in the wall. You can see it. We don't have measure. But okay, let's try to know what emperor is meant. And we have this inscription: Imperatori, Caesari, Marco Aurelio Antonino Augusto Pio Pontifici Maximo Proconsuli Patri Patriae Trimunitia Potestate, and now
Partico Britannico.
Maximo, Britannico Maximo, and then the denominator Gaius Castius Avitus Decuri et Opponorum Decolinatus ita ut promisit,
yes.
Plene obtuli. Okay, which imperator, which emperor
I believe Antonino Pio?
No,
Marco Aurelio.
No.
No, Marco Aurelio,
No,
Antonino,
later on. It's a family, a dynasty who
ok.
to this emperors you meant.
Tiberio Claudio Cesare Britannico.
Yeah, Partico Britannico Maximo, that's a big and heavy name.
Maybe Tiberio Claudio Cesare Britannico?
No.
211.
It's Caracalla.
Caracalla.
It's Caracalla because he said.
Severi, one of the Severi, yes.
Yeah, one of the Severi, because the Severi.
Yes, because they took the name of their their ancestors to give more significance to their dynasty.
Okay,
so
and
yes.
And so Postumus was not damned anymore, and he was a brother of the fiction, okay, brother of Septimius Severus and so on.
Yes.
And we can see it there. We have very famous inscriptions with all these ancestors. Maybe one of them is on the theater at Ostia and so on, where he says, okay, I'm the pro Nepos, up Nepos, and so on and so on. And they gives this line of ancestors back to Hadrian and Trajan. But it's a fiction, you know, it's a fiction, and we must be, and that's a good example, quite careful when we read this name like Aurelio Antonino Augusto. The first mention, first to think on Antoninus Pius and then maybe Mark Aurel, but be careful because
correct.
did it in this way and to legitimate their own dynasty. And that's to legitimate their own dynasty. And this is one of these examples. We can have we have a clue for a datation from 211 to 213. Why? Because we have no, we have only the mention of Tribunitia Potestas, not a year, but we have a clue for the datation in which way?
I guess because of Parthic and wars and Britannic expeditions.
Yeah, that's a clue, and so we can say between 211 and 200.
We have to check when he went to Britain and to Parthia.
Yeah, it was a big winner. Yeah, okay.
It's cognomina ex virtute.
Yeah, so it is. And the donator was, what do we know about him? The man who said this, who gave this inscription on the
Castus Avitus Decurio.
Yeah, it's a Decurio, a member of the ordo, but he is also
Duoviro Solve.
Yeah, also he is Duvier, one of the highest magistrate of the Flavia Solva. It's very interesting because we have a Duvier, but Flavia Solva was a municipium, but we are very late. And why? He says why he gives this inscription and this monument.
Because he has been appointed the Curione by the emperor, so he was grateful.
Yeah, he was very grateful, and he promised to give this statue. And so we have here a person of high rank in the local order, and for this he gave this inscription to the emperor. We guess that it was a statue and a block on maybe the forum of the marketplace of Flavia. So, and here we have the edition of CIL with the datation here and the rest of the stone, and he said Segau in Castro with a number. They had an inventory, and Mommsen took it from its number 59. Okay, the next is very short, but very interesting. Yeah, what do we have here?
It's an inscription for Jupiter, but he's said to be a divus, not a deus.
Devo is not normally what?
The dead people,
Okay, yeah, normally human, a man or a woman, but here a devo, man, okay. Normally the emperor, he was,
Yeah.
no?
It was Jovio.
Jovio,
Maximiano.
Jovio, Maximiano, okay,
Yeah.
in late antiquity.
Yes.
And
Very late.
the question is, who is Maximiano?
Marco Aurelio.
We know him under another name.
Erculio, Massimiano Erculio, no?
Yeah, you are right. Then, but then we have to have Divo Herculio Maximiano. Then we have Maximianus, the colleague of Diocletian. But we have Divo Jovio Maximiano. Who is Jovio Maximiano?
Jovio.
It's very interesting. You know it. He must be part of, you know, in the first tetrarchy.
Tetrarchy, yes.
We have Jovio
And Herculius.
Yeah, and Herculius was Maximianus, and his Caesar was Constantius
Cloro.
And who was the Caesar of Diocletian?
Oh my God.
Galerio, no?
Galerius.
Yes.
It is Galerio.
Galerio.
Jovio Maximiano is Galerius. And here, who gives this, who erected this inscription, was responsible for it? The Ordo himself, the Ordo from Flavia Solva. And we can see it here. Here, Mommsen says, Est Galerii Maximiani, quem consequatum esse sub nomine Jovii Maximiani. He explains that it must be Galerius because he is not an Herculean one, and had to is another person as Maximianus, a colleague of Diocletian. It's part of the CRL, very interesting. And here's the inscription. But we have to go back because we have a piece of it and stop and to go to it. Here's the squeeze. You can see, I hope.
Yes.
And here's the high and the waist, and it's also found when they rebuilt this medieval tower. And here we have all the editions of the inscription, and UBR Lupa and Heidelberg databases also. What is lacking is Klaus Labi, but we have to add it next time, all these Klaus Labi numbers. And Ingrid had a problem with this years ago when they give their comments to this inscription. Now, okay, we have time to change to this databases, but first, now I have to give a short introduction to the epigraphic collection of the University of Graz. We have about 1,000 quizzes, in German Abklatsch here, from the 6th century BC to the 4th century AD, Greek and Roman ones, and we have since a couple of years a database for it. You can see here in Graz at my office the original squeezes. There are squeezes from stones which still not exist anymore because they were destroyed under several circumstances, maybe in the war or later. So we have some very important squeezes, and if you want to work with them, let me know. We have it in an APDoc conform way published. You don't need a special, every browser is okay. We have geonames, it's normal for us, coordinates that you can see their finding places also at that you can have the real coordinates. And we use the Pleiades Gessit here for the name of the places. We have connected it into the Heidelberg database to Eagle and the Europeana, and also Klaus, they are connected. You can, if you want to see our squeeze, you can see it. If maybe it's only testimony of a special stone we have, you can see it every time you want. And we have here at the bottom the link to it. It's part of GAMS. It's the program of our of the Austrian Center of Digital Humanities. We are working close together. And now I have to change the screen. And go to this screen. It's an epigraphic collection here, and with a little introduction from Peter Mauritz. We have it since February 2016 in the web, and we can go to the objects, and you can see here what we have from which CRL region. The old ones from Rome, we have from Italy, from a little bit from Italy, from Germany, and milestones, and so on. Going to Germany, Presso told on Monday about Mainz. We have here a squeeze from Mogontiacum, for example, and you have here the text in minuscule form. We have changed it in our new database, but here with the epigraphic diacritics, you can see it here, and then a translation in German. Now we have also a translation in English for the your database, and we have here the links for the EDA and the editions and literature, and where you can find it. Kasten means my office, in the front of my office, and here is the library of our institute, and you can take a closer look here. You can look at parts of this, minimize and maximize it, and so on. What is really very good is you can print every page. You have here this icon for PDF, and you can take a PDF from each stone for your own work. That is a problem with our new database. I show it later. But with this squeeze database, you can take from everywhere, because it's only one page per inscription. And so you can take a PDF from every inscription. And that is very, very useful, I think. So we have also reed inscription here, only an example from Essens, from Sextus Pompeius Socrates. It's EG2, and you see here the concordance. And we have about thousands of 1,000 of these squeezes, and if you need some, please be free to take it. Okay, we have to change to back. Here's another example about mixed inscription from, I think, from Carnuntum, and it's near the Danube, near Vienna, and we have here a military man who is ad lecto inter tribunitios, and also you have here a picture from every street. It was very difficult to photograph it. They prepared a special table for it with fixed illumination. I say it because in the afternoon, Astrid will explain something about photography, and here you have only squeezes. It's easy, but you have every time the same illumination and the same perspective of the camera to have these very good photos which you can use to minimize and to maximize. Okay, last step. We have learned much from the squeeze database. It was our first attempt for edition, a scientific edition, not only a database. Kesho, in the beginning, Kesumi Matijevich showed the several and very important databases for epigraphic material. And we have here only a small section and a small number, about 400 to 500 inscription of Celtic divine names in the province of Germania Inferior. But we have learned from the squeeze database that we have to make an edition with all the opportunities of the database. You can search, have to search every word. You have to have a photo and all these things which are important to information that are important for your work. But we have much more. We have an epigraphic and an archaeological commentary to each monument, and we have been funded. You don't try to do it if you have other works. It takes many time, and we have a team of, you can see it here, of 4 persons, and we are funded by the scientific fund of Austria. And you see here this project intended, which we have finished the the collection of material and the edition. All Celtic divine names, which are preserved in Latin inscriptions of the Roman province of Germania Inferior. It's the northern part of Germany and the surrounding of Köln and Bonn. We think that these sources are especially suitable as a basis for examining phenomena that emerge in religious contexts when different cultural influences collide. And we have information about influences by the Celtic language on the name of the god or the name of the dedicant, and on the other hand by the Latin languages and patterns from inside the Roman Empire that can label as Roman. And I give you an impression. So first, when you make such a big database, then you have to be sustainable also in 10 years. And we have such a structure which are sustainable, and we have a contract with our center that they are responsible to keep it at the web for the next years. You can see that it's a problem with these databases when you try to find this De Fictiones database from Magdeburg. You can't find it anymore because they made a change in the structure of the server, and so you have no access to this database now. And that's what we don't want, and so we have a contract and keep it sustainable also when the technique changes. It's open, free license, also the photos, it's visible, it's connected and to other and linked to other databases, and we hope to be understandable for everybody. Here are the technical terms. For us it's not so important, but we have a long-term archiving strategy, persistent end identifier. If you are part of our team and have to edit some of this inscription, we have a persistent end identifier. You can say, okay, this inscription is mine, I have published it. And you can mention this persistent end identifier. It will not change in the next 10 years. It's like very similar to a paper edition. We have open metadata, which are usual in the rule of the work, and we are trust certified and trusted repository. It's very important, I say it because what we want is an edition have to be accessible in the next 10, 20 years. It's not like a book, but also a book can be destroyed. But what we have is a normal structure has to be sustainable of the database. That is the descriptions of our project, and here is only interesting is the first part of the project, which is finished now, comprises a new edition of the relevant epigraphical sources, also considering the inscribed object and the iconography. The second part analyzes the sources edited this way. We have also printed part of it, but not the inscriptions and the edition. We have an analyze, the analyze of the names of the god are finished by Patricia de Bernardo Stemp. Okay, let's go to the database. And when we see this structure at the first glance, you can see the same is very similar to the Squeeze database, but it differs in one, for us, important way. We have Majuskel at the left, and the minuscule with the solution of the abbreviations at the right. And you can see here the diacritics also, and here you can see the minuscule and the interpretation, a little bit interpretation. We have an apparatus criticus with different legend of in different editions. You can see a Baufens, Lena, and so on with different interpretations. And now we have to go to the database itself. Here, we are in the database. You can see here the link to it, but I can put it in Dropbox. Here is the first description of the database, but we have to go to the inscriptions. Okay, you have an index on the left side. You can see like an index with lemmata, and the first is maybe Keltische Gotternamen, and we can see all these names from A to V with several Celtic names of the god. We can, okay, if we want to know what Andrus Tehe means, we have to click. Takes the time. And here we have the find spots. And when we go a little bit below, we have the inscriptions here. And okay, we take one. And here is what we have. Only a fragment of an altar. Maybe the other inscriptions are more interesting. Okay, here seems to be a better example. And you see here an altar from Cologne, for the Matronis Andrus Tehiabus, from an Lucius Silvinius Respectus, and Votum Solvit Libens Merito. In English, it means to the Matrone Andrus Tehia, Lucius Silvinius Respectus has fulfilled a vow willingly and deservedly. And you see here also on the left side the majuscule and the minuscule inscription. Then we have an autopsy non vidimus. In this case, we have only a photo. Mostly we have seen the stones years in the CIL project in combination working together with President Matijevic here, and we have a big photo database. And here we have the stone, and we have editions here. CIL, Esprandieu, Chopin, Galster, seeds every here, and we have the edition. We can go to Klaus Slavi with a direct link, or to Trismegistos. It seems that they have this stone, this inscription not in the Heidelberg database. Normally we have a direct link to the Heidelberg database. You can switch to the map of Cologne if you want. You go back vor dem Weihertor, Beginn der Zülpicher Straße, and then you have archaeological classification, materials, limestone, and then a description of the object, the objects with all measurements, the iconography, if there is an iconography, but here we have on the sides trees, the technique of sculpture, and so on. Here, notabilia varia, we have Andrus Tehiabus for Andrus Tehigis, and so on and so on. And here you have the permanent link, what I said before, with never change. It's a link, the HandleNet link that you can cite in every that you have edited this. And so this is one of the big advantages of doing so. But you can say, okay, you have here indices. You may be like gentilnum. Okay, we want to have an Albinus. Okay, we have to wait. Here is an Albinus. Okay, we have a votive to the matribus octocanis, to the matrix octocani, from an Albinus, Platinus, and 2 more or 3 more Albinus here. We have a stone here. We can have a look at the inscription. We have more than 1 photos, which is very useful to have a look on the sides, a special look on the inscription, and here the 3 goddesses sitting. And you can make it bigger and smaller and so on, and play a little bit with these photos for every photo. But also we can say, okay, it's maybe we have here many indicators, and we can see many of this material. We can all stones from limestones or sand or what you want. We can look at officers, the consul of emperors, not so much, and so on. But you can say, okay, for me it's not useful because I'm looking for a special word, but I take only 1 word, and you can make in this way. I have searched Severus, and I find stone for a very unknown goddess, Ludana. But what I see here is that he says it's Severus Alexander, and the technical form to search strings is very similar to that what you have noticed from Casimir Matijevic about Heidelberg database and that of Klaus Slaby. And you can, because the brackets and so are not interesting, you search for every Severus. And here's an advantage that he truncates the last 2 letters. And so you find every Severus here. And here we have the emperor, Severus Alexander, because we have searched for every Severus in this database. We can have a look back. Oh, Ixenoi Sege is the tongue-breaking name of a Celtic, Celto-Germanic name. Here we have a photo from Christian Witschel, who was so friendly to give us this photo. And also here we have Severiane, a name of a cogname of a unit of the 13th Legion here, and from the Civitas Batavorum. And you have here the name. It's very interesting because this name is not only Celtic, it's comment for the name of the god. Ixenoikege, it's not sure, but it's not Germanic. As Gutenbrunner says, 1936. But he has a wrong reading. It's Ixenoikege, and that it's maybe Celtic, so we take it for our edition. For us, it's only important if we have parts of the names of the god which are Celtic parts. Okay, it takes many efforts to do for each inscription. And we have here I think, a little bit between 500 and 400 inscription for every inscription, such effort with all the epigraphic and archaeologic comments. We had a team for that, and that's not usual to do it with 1 or 2 persons. You have to have a team working every day, 40 hours a week, to do it in 3 years. We had 3 years for it, and we finished it in 3 years. But it takes much effort. What we want to do in the future is that we have also PDFs for each inscription for all interested people to take it home. That is not possible yet because we have, you see, not only 1 page, more than 2 or 3 pages, and that's a problem for the technicians in our center. But we are in close connection with them to solve that problem in the future. It's one of our problems. What we try to do is now to take the same for the northern part of Germania Superior, but we hope that we are funded next year, and then we can go on with the next edition. And now I have to finish, and thank you. And if you have questions, please be so free to ask all your questions now.
I would just like to add, I don't know whether you have mentioned it and I missed it. If we have people on tombstones giving their age, they often pick a higher age and they often round up the numbers. So 75 is not necessarily, that does not mean that the person was 75.
Thank you very much. It means she's very old.
Probably she was very old. We often have high numbers, 90, 100 even. People were proud of their age, like today probably, and they didn't know.
Thank you, Casual. It's very important. I've forgotten it. We have 2 or 3 examples for 90 years in Flavia Solva. And it means they are older than everyone else. That's the message. Must not mean that they are exactly 90 years old or 75, but they are older than everyone else. It's a very, very old grandpa.
Thank you very much, Wolfgang. You have introduced some very interesting inscription from these collections, and they have an important meaning not only for epigraphy but for historical aspect. I think to the inscription from Tui and this definition of the expedition against Venus, and that is testified by other 1 or 2 inscriptions connected with this particular moment of the history of the Roman Empire, and so other imperial and not only imperial inscription or dedication that are really important from an historical point of view. And so,
if we can next year, in the next years, you are invited to come to Graz to visit our. We have a trip to Zechau and to have a trip to Eggenberg. It's not so far away. Astrid lives in Eggenberg, not far from the castle.
There were some older text concerning the different collection of inscription in the old Habsburger monarchy territory, and some of them are probably exaggerated, but other are just the real description of the reality. Is a particular collection on the castle, and so yeah, very interesting.